menopause, men on pause. Maybe energetically speaking, but linguistically speaking, men is Greek, and it translates either into month or moon. So menopause is your monthly pause from bleeding, and menstrual cycle is your moon cycle, because in ancient times that's how they told time. Every new moon was a month. So poetically speaking, menopause is the little moon inside you that pauses. And you'll hear this a lot in women's circles. In indigenous communities, when a woman stops bleeding, she becomes the spiritual leader of the community, the wise elder. But it's not that a woman stops bleeding that all of a sudden she becomes wise. This woman has spent a lifetime with the land and the soil, with nature, learning the plants, learning the laws, learning the songs and the rituals. And that's what makes her wise. If you are a woman that has not done the self-work, the internal reflection, then really menopause is going to be hell, because it's going to pile on more pain and suffering on top of the pain and suffering that you've accumulated throughout your lifetime and have not worked on. Not every culture romanticizes a menopausal woman. Some cultures are terrified, scared of women who stop bleeding, because a woman that doesn't need anyone or need to prove anything makes her very much live in her power, and women that live in their power are very hard to control. So there's two real questions here. One is, what happens to a woman who stops bleeding in a culture that worships youth? And what happens to a woman that stops bleeding in a culture that doesn't worship youth? A culture that worships youth, the story goes like this. The bleeding maiden is beautiful, sexy, desirable. The mother is useful and self-sacrificing. And both of those women are easy to control and market because they want to be loved. But when you stop bleeding, both of those contract ends, because you're getting older and you can no longer bear children, and so society doesn't know what to do with them, so they become invisible, or they become a problem to be fixed. $1 billion marketing campaign on how to fix older women that are drying up and shriveling up and getting old. If you don't agree to comply to all those rules, and you just allow yourself to naturally age in all your beauty and hopefully that wisdom you've gathered along the way, then you become very dangerous to society, because you have no contract to assure your silence. Wise elder idea, she's the woman that no longer belongs to others. This is a woman who has spent 20, 30 years of her life caring and nurturing for others. Her blood, her sweat, her tears, her milk, her food, her physical body, her sleep, her stress, and all of that life force was leaving her, and now she gets to keep it. So she's not an old woman, she's a renewed woman with a life force that has never been seen before. They don't need me anymore. So now what is ready to be reborn in me? And a woman who is coming into this phase of her life has this renewed energy that is ready to go and see a life that maybe she has never lived. Some indigenous communities, this menopausal woman is considered a third gender. So she's not male and she's not a fertile female. She's an other who can walk between the two camps, and now she can talk about sex and get down with the boys because she's no longer desirable, because she's no longer fertile. Now, you would say that this is not true, right? We are still desirable. There's still a lot of sex drive in us, maybe even more once you get over the premenopausal hump, which tends to take that libido away. I've definitely experienced that, but I can feel the next shift coming. To be considered undesirable for me isn't all that bad. To be able to walk down the street and not be catcalled or eyed or followed or afraid for my safety is actually a huge relief. And funny enough, in these ancient cultures, the menopausal woman was the only woman who could be a midwife to the most dangerous births. They could be judges, and they could be shamans, because their hormones stopped making them crazy and started making them brutally honest. I think that's hilarious. Premenopausal phase, therefore, is so interesting because your body is literally replicating all of this power and strength that you're about to step into, this knowingness, this assurance, or filling in the blanks that you didn't get to fill in when you were younger. Maybe there's still a lot of self-work to do, and now you have the time to do it where you didn't before. So whatever hole or role you step into or out of, the premenopausal phase is the body replicating that vitality, that force, that non-willingness to negotiate or comply, right? The body gets real. The body's saying either we're gonna dive into the depth of our death and suffer there, or we're gonna dive into the depth of the death and be reborn. Because there's so much more that we can discuss about this. This is only the beginning, but it's so interesting to see where the stories, the myths, and the roots of all of this lie, and how it applies to the modern world and to each of our bodies and our own experiences, because everyone experiences completely different. Like, I asked my mother what her, premenopausal, menopausal cycle was like, and she was like, oh, I didn't even notice it happened. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it, and also men living with women who are premenopausal and menopausal, because I know that Ruben has had a lot of insight, and he looks at me from across the room and I reflect that back. I'm like, what is happening? So it's just all fascinating. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, and we'll continue this conversation if you'd like.